Hi there, this is Daniel. This is Friday, August 10th, 2012, and welcome back to the story of Daniel. We're on today episode 6, part 2, Daniel the Freshman. Things were not all candy and roses my freshman year at PHS, nor did every endeavor or adventure end with applause as the one we just experienced. However, every single day, at several points during the day, there were periods of great upset and humiliation. Yes, I am talking about bullying. I feel I would be gravely socially remiss if I didn't include the reality that I lived with every single day, from pretty much the 3rd grade to my sophomore year in high school. It became the worst mostly starting in middle school, probably about the 7th grade. In the 7th grade, I ended up getting my own personal bullies. 2 young strapping lads that took great time and care, and yes, even personal pleasure, in torturing me relentlessly. Stop! Do not touch that mouse. Do not move away from this webpage. I know this is not comfortable, but if I lived through it for 5 years, you can sit there for a few minutes or read a few paragraphs. So now take your hand off the mouse. Go ahead, take it off the mouse. Very good. Sit back. This won't last long. I'll make it as painless as possible. And keep watching or reading. Please. It happened during gym class. It happened during lunch. It happened on the bus. It happened in my own neighborhood. No, I had the great fortune or misfortune of living within a block of my primary bully. I had my face shoved into mud. I had my pants and underwear taken off of me in public. I was berated, insulted, and verbally abused on nearly a daily basis. Oh, thank God bullies get sick too. I had days off. Many times with a teacher right there or within earshot. Moreover, on more than one occasion, I endured being beaten till my face was bloody. There was a period in the 7th and 8th grades where I planned to drop out of school just to avoid the daily torment and torture. At one point in high school, I made an attempt on my own life to try and escape the physical and emotional beatings I faced. This is the very first time I have ever had the courage to speak openly about the abuse I faced. If I were to spend the whole rest of this campaign, the whole rest of the story of Daniel, speaking of this, I would still not be able to convey the sheer terror and torment that overshadowed this entire part of my life. Out of self-loathing, I never spoke of the abuse and torment I faced. In addition, I did not want the few people that had become my friends to see me as a victim. I understand. Bullying happens to people and you get over it. Funny that. I never, ever heard that statement from a guy that spent middle school and high school getting bullied. Usually, it is people who have never once known the pain and humiliation of being bullied on a daily basis that make statements like, "Oh, bullying happens to people. You get over it." Most of you, my dear readers, most of you, you're parents now. And as parents, you understand the damage that can be done to a child by this kind of repeated and daily abuse. Some of you, I am sure, have heard or know of a child that just couldn't handle the stress. I'm letting you into my life, dear readers, and it would be disingenuous of me to share my life and avoid telling you about this aspect. I apologize if my words or images have offended. I don't apologize if I've made you uncomfortable, because you see, that discomfort you feel, that's empathy. That's what makes us human beings. Now, I've said my piece, and I will most likely never ever mention this again. I made it 40 years without telling anyone about it. I can make it the rest of my life. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not ending the video, moving away from the webpage. Now, let's get caught up with the rest of our story, dear readers. Nevertheless, let me backtrack just a little here and share with you my very first day, my very first class at 7:30 a.m., the first day of my freshman year, speech class with Doc Springfield. Oi, just a little aside here. I wanted to speak about Doc. Doc Springfield had been at Pearland High School by the time we all got there for decades. You might not be aware, but from what Doc told me, Doc started the choir department, the band department, and then finally the drama and speech department. When Doc arrived at PHS, or so again he told me, there were no band, choir, or drama departments. He started them all. Doc Springfield was the old man on campus, having at least 30 years on most of the teachers there. Back to the story. Yet every single day at 7:30 a.m. there was Doc taking roll and running class. It was incredible. That man had performed on vaudeville, was now Pearland's theater director and speech expert. Let me unpack that last part a little bit. Have any of you, dear readers, taken Doc's speech class? He held it back in the old Theater in the Round classroom that was in the old building right up against, would have been 518, in the same building as what the principal's office was and the administrative offices. It was that very front part. It was a converted theater. I'm going to go off script here for a minute. It was great. The room was always freezing cold. The walls were painted black. The ceiling was painted black. There was a lighting grid at the top and Fresnels and lights hanging from the top. The floor was blackened out on the stage. There was a little stage in the center. It was a great room. I was there every morning at 7:30 in the morning, and it was cold, and I love cold rooms, so it was wonderful. I loved that little Theater in the Round. I never got a chance to perform in it, though. I always wanted to. Back to the story. It was the Theater in the Round classroom in the building right across the street from the snack shack. Oh, yes, yes. I will get to that place soon enough. Doc Springfield was a published author. His primary published tome was on public speaking. And in that, Doc was a master of his craft. Even before Truman, there was Doc. He had such a large influence on me in my life, on who I am today, on how I speak. Every day after roll call, Doc would read from his book, and we all would take scrupulous notes every single day without fail. We would all listen to Doc read and write down every word he read. Why? I'll tell you why. That was Doc's speech class, copying his book on public speaking. See, if you did it right and you wrote it well every class, by the end of the year, you would end up with a free copy of Doc's published work. I thought that was really neat. I mean, how many other classes at the end of it, you had written down the textbook? It was incredible. Oh, there was a lot more to Doc's class than just him reading and us writing. Some days, well, on some days, Doc would fall asleep. in class. He was in his late 70s when I first met him and took his speech class. I took to his class like a duck to water. And Doc noticed that I had a real passion for speech. I've always said to my friends when I first meet people, and I like them, I turn to them and I'll say, we are perceived as we speak. It's deep. We are. People judge us. I mean, they're going to look at your shoes, they're going to look at your hair, they're going to look at your clothes. But you can have on a $1,000 suit and $500 shoes, and if you open your mouth and you sound, you get my point. We are perceived as we speak. Doc had noticed that I had a real passion for speech. It was not long into my first year with Doc that he called me into his office after class. He told me he knew he fell asleep in class. We all kind of thought he didn't notice. But he wanted me to help him. When he would fall asleep, he wanted to know if I could please take over where he left off and read the book for him. Woof. I cannot even begin to tell you just how that made me feel. As a 16-year-old freshman, and here was a man who performed on vaudeville. He created the choir department, the band department, the drama department. He was Pearland High School to me in the liberal arts sense, and he was turning to me to help him. I was overwhelmed by his trust in my ability to read his primary work. I told Doc that I would be honored to take over if he ever fell asleep. He laughed, and he told me it would happen. He also told me in that first visit that I would be getting an A in his class. That I was the kind of student that he waited years for. And that as far as speech and drama went, I was special. I was special. I had not heard those words from anyone in my life except my now gone father. Seems Danny had just found his new home and his new family. Doc ended the conversation by telling me that there were auditions for the school play and that he would very much wanted me to try out for Sweet Charity. I told Doc I'd be there with bells on. He laughed. Doc always laughed at my jokes. He especially liked the one about the bells. Someday we meet in person, I'll tell you what he said. Doc and I became very close very quickly. I started each day with Doc and would drop by his office several times a day and check up on him and get him coffee. Now, I swear to you, honestly, I think coffee actually kept Doc alive the last few years of his life. He drank it non-stop. Nearly at the same rate I found out later as Truman, and that was a lot of coffee. Also, this was long before Starbucks or any designer coffees. What these men were drinking, the swill these men would put into their bodies would put hair on your... Never mind, but I wasn't going to say chest. Doc and I would spend hours and hours sitting in his office. It was the office in the lighting room right off the little theater in the round. He would talk about his time doing vaudeville and the shows that he had directed. I just sat there and hung on his every word. This man had led a full life, and I was not about to let all those experiences pass when he did. I never told Doc. But Doc ended up filling, for a couple of years, a big hole in my life. The hole that was created by my father leaving our family. I tried out for Sweet Charity and was quite happy to find out that I had been cast as the man on the bench. This was an Act 1, Scene 1, and it was the very first non-primary character to speak. I also had a couple of walk-ons, and I was in several crowd scenes. Daniel had arrived. Now, for this whole work, I have never really mentioned anyone's names. I'm going to kind of go off the script here. I've done this for a lot of very good reasons, and I'm about to break that rule right now for one name. Then I have. I haven't mentioned people's names, not because I don't care about you, not because you weren't influential in my life, not because I didn't love the hell out of you. I've done it because I didn't want to embarrass anyone. I didn't want to create envy. I didn't want to create discord. I was fearful of the negatives of mentioning names, you know, who my best friend was at this point or that point. It's not that they weren't important. There are so many important people. Students. Friends. I just don't feel right mentioning names, and I hope you understand. But right now, I will mention one name. Dawn Lockwood. Dawn was the star of Sweet Charity, and at that point, the single best female actor I'd ever seen in person in my entire life. She was just alive on stage. There was a vibrancy and effervescence that she brought to any scene that was just overwhelmingly brilliant. Every single scene I ever did with Dawn, she drew me in. When I was acting with Dawn, I felt there was nothing I could not do on stage. She was an incredible foil for my acting, and a giving and nurturing performer. I feel that a lot of how I act today is from Dawn, and I'm gonna unpack that. A lot of how I see actors, a lot of how I have relationship with actors on stage, a lot of the decorum I have as an actor, I got from Dawn, and I know Dawn got from Doc. There's a respect, there's a style all your own that these two people gave me to my acting. A humility, a reverence, a respect for the craft, and how it can really touch people and reach people. I feel that I got a lot of how I act today from Dawn. Doc and Truman were my mentors for acting, speech, lighting design, set design, staging, everything. However, Dawn at that point was my personal inspiration as an actor. Well, here we are, coming to the end of yet another episode, my dear readers. I cannot tell you just how happy it makes me that you are here. You reading my words, watching my videos, and sharing and me telling of my life has given my life new meaning. Each day now I wake up with a purpose, a cause, a direction. And people depending on me providing a nice story to take them to another place. Be it a place from your past, to all my Pearland High School friends will feel, or for those that are watching the videos that probably don't even know where Pearland is, taking you to a place you've never been. For whatever reason, I am glad to be your guide and extremely flattered that you come here and enjoy my work. Thank you. From the very depths of my heart, I say thank you. I will be back here tomorrow, Saturday, with something more to read. Saturday will not be a continuation of this story of Daniel. I need some time. I need some time to work out how to proceed. There's a lot to tell, and I want to be sure to share it all. I look forward to when next you read my words or see my smiling face. Till then, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for telling others. Thank you for being there. And may God bless.